Today we're driving a 2000 Mercedes-Benz ML55 AMG. This is arguably one of the first performance SUVs on sale, and it was the first time AMG breathed their performance goodness onto an SUV. It's powered by a 5.4 liter V8 that makes 342 horsepower. Yes, it's a 5.4 liter, even though this is the ML55. Back then, AMG was kind of rounding up some of their engine displacements for naming purposes. We have a full-time four-wheel drive system, bright red brake calipers from the factory. This particular example has 160,000 miles on it. It's actually pretty clean. The first thing I'm surprised about with this car is just how small it is compared to SUVs today. This weighs in just under 5,000 pounds. Got an AMG exhaust tip. Normally the spare tire goes right here, and it's a big bubble kind of impeding on your cargo space, but apparently it rattled so much that the previous owner put it on the roof rack. Pretty cool stuff. I'm sure this thing handles like a boat, but it probably goes like stink. This does mid 6 seconds to 60 miles an hour, which back in 2000 was pretty quick. Let's start it up and see what it's like. Sounds pretty good. All right, guys, well, let's take this ML55 for a drive and see what it's like on the road. We'll even do a sound system test on this 2000s AMG stereo. Oh yeah, and I can tell already this 5.4 liter V8 is going to be good. Brakes feel nice and strong. Oh yeah, it definitely handles like an SUV from the 2000s. But the power here is fantastic. Very nice. Quite a satisfying shove into the back of your seat. You do have some manual control over this 5-speed gearbox, so you can use it to downshift here by pressing the minus button to the left. Actually, handling isn't terrible. It's reasonably flat around the corners, but really where this thing shines is in the power department. There's a ton of torque here. This 5-speed transmission actually has pretty good manners. It's healthy. I'm surprised how smooth this drivetrain is. Even still, with 160,000 miles, this trans shifts great. The brakes feel good. Definitely someone's kept up with the maintenance on this ML55 over the years. Feels pretty stable around the corners too. You definitely get modern levels of performance out of this. And for a 20-year-old SUV that was kind of one of the first of its kind, it's impressive. .4 liter V8 sounds awesome. The owner's done a little bit of exhaust work to kind of free up the flow a bit, but it still sounds very muted, very quiet in here. You can tell tell there's a lot of sound insulation in this ML, even though you get quite a few rattles from the interior. It's quick, there's no denying that. Really smooth, very comfortable, nice high driving position. I remember when these things first came out, they seemed so massive on the road. And now we have a Volvo XC60 this week, and that is larger than this. So you get into one of these older SUVs and the size on the road and in the lane just doesn't feel as big, nearly as much as a modern SUV. While we're here, let's see what this will do 0 to 60 in. How much power has it lost over the years? Launches hard. .5 seconds. Still got it. That's about what it did brand new. That's impressive. You can see the fuel tank went down about 1/8 just through that acceleration. Originally, this was rated by the EPA for 14 city, 18 highway. I'm not sure it does that anymore, especially with the O2 sensor codes. Let's see how it handles a corner. Like I said earlier, the brakes feel good. Oh yeah, it's not willing to turn in, but it'll do it. I mean, it feels like an SUV. There's nothing remarkable about this in the handling department. It does the job though, and it actually feels reasonably modern, dynamically. But the power is definitely where this ML55 shines. That, and it's just a comfortable luxury SUV. The owner bought this for around $5,600. Not a bad deal for something that cost around 60 to 70 grand brand new 20 years ago. These ML55s are probably pretty stout, aside from the few sensor issues and little emission stuff that probably pops up here and there. I'm sure major components on these actually do well. This was a good era for AMG back in the day. As long as you can foot the bill for fuel cost, probably wouldn't be too terribly expensive to own. Let's see what passing power is like on the highway. Throttle response is actually really quick. It gets up and goes. It can go around a corner. While we're just sitting here, let's do a sound system test. Might as well. We've got a tape player connection into the audio system. We'll go into our sound system test. information through the tape player, this is pretty good. I'm totally happy with this sound system. It's so interesting to drive cars from this era because they're just a little bit more interesting and exciting than a lot of modern performance options. Back in the day, this must have just seemed like crazy amounts of power and performance for an SUV, and now it's pretty standard. You get SUVs with 4 cylinders that have more power than this. Alright guys, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care. You even get a cool key that has the shank style flip out key there. Nice.